This is another acoustic blues solo kind of thing when it's just you and your guitar. So this is going to be like sort of like a bass solo, walking bass. Again, pretty simple. So if you're new to using your fingers or this style, you may enjoy this. Okay, so here it is. So that's it. Again, pretty simple. You can do this with a pick, I think, with these, like some kind of cross picking thing, but I think it's easier to use your fingers, which is really sort of what it's designed for, or your picking fingers. You can do that too. So anyway, so it starts off with a introduction / turnaround. So open E string. You're going to strike the top two strings. This sort of implies an E7 chord. And then you're going to reach up to the 5th fret of the 5th string and just walk that down chromatically. And then you're going to play this B9 shape up to C9 and back to B9. So that intro. We start our little, that's the intro. Now we start the, well, I guess we'll call this the head. So the first measure, the bass line, so that's sort of taking over the lead, I guess. And then you're just gonna, after you hit the low E on the second half of beat 1, you're gonna take these two fingers and just strike those top two strings. Now what this does, it outlines the chord. E, G sharp, B, G sharp. And then the next measure, you're going to strike the top 3 strings. So we're getting that G string, that's, like, again, so this measure is going to imply an A7, and the bass line actually does outline a bit an A7. And so with that G note, that's the 7th of A. So actually it's making like an A9, which is a fancier A7. So, and then back to E7. So now we're not going to hit the G string, just the top 2 strings. And that's it, just like the first measure. E, G sharp, B, G sharp. Now the 4th measure, same thing, we're going to strike the low E. Those 2 notes come on beat 1, second half of beat 1, which is the theme throughout. Oh, that little mini chord is always on the second half of beat 1. Now this time though, we're going to walk the bass line up, because it's going to an A7 after this measure, so that's sort of like our destination, and we're going to walk that bass to it. So it's pretty common. So the first line is, and then measure 5, A7. Again, so strike the A note, hit those top 3 strings to make that A dominant 7th sound, and outline that chord. So A, C sharp, E, C sharp. And you're going to the sixth measure is the exact same. And then back to E7, just like we did in the first measure and third measure. Just outlines the chord. And now, that last measure of this line, or before it goes to the B7, it's going to be, so this is measure 8 of the head. So again, so E, second half of beat 1, you splash those two notes, G sharp, but this time we're marching up to a B7 chord, so we're going to go E, G sharp, A sharp. So that second line is and then measure 9. This again, it's going to be B7 or B9. Then we change the bass pattern a little bit, but it's still going to match the chord. So this is a B9 chord, and the bass notes are going to be, so you're going to make that B9 shape, and on the second half of beat 1, you're going to make that shape and play strings 2, 3, and 4. So strike the B on the second fret of the 5th string, like that. And then your second finger is going to play the F sharp on the 6th string, 2nd fret. And then back to the B. And then the B is going to go to a B flat because we're going to be traveling to the A. So. And then the A7. Now this A7 pattern is going to be a little different. So it's, and I'm actually making this A7 chord here. And then the low E. Back to the A. And then the last note of that measure is the G. 3rd fret, bottom string. And then back to the E7. Now this is going to be a little bit different. Actually, it's just like measure 8. Because again, we're traveling up to a B9. So. Now this pattern over to B9 is different. B, chord, F sharp, back to the B, and then we're going to play F natural, because that's a half step move back down to the E. So that measure is, and then you can either go back to the beginning of the head, where you see the return repeat sign is, you'll see it in the notation, or you can just end it. Those two E7 chords. So that last line is. Anyway, all right, so that's it. So that's, again, just like a simple walking bass solo, key of E, as a blues kind of thing. So have a ton of fun with that, and thank you so much. All right, till next time. Bye.